Day 8, Mastering the Moment. And today's topic of discussion, perception. Let's say that I take this. And I told you that this was a magic wand. And with this magic wand, I can make anything I want come to pass. And I tell you that with this magic wand, I'll tell you that I'm going to have 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. Bing. And it's done. Now, I get to believe that happened. But this is all for the perception that I believe that this right here is a magic wand. The same thing can be said about our own words. Our words can also be a magic wand, depending on how we view what we say. And how we view what we say is directly a reflection of how we view ourselves. And you see how that view automatically links up to what we just talked about with perception. The way we receive information is very important. The way that we understand information is very important. Last time, we were talking a little bit about the difference between the objective and the subjective. The thing about the subjective, or our perception, the way that we perceive things, is that it gives us the power to apply our own understanding to the things that are in front of us. Yet, what does it say? Proverbs 3, verse 4-6. Lean not on your own understanding. Who do we lean on? We lean on the Lord. But there is a way that the Lord has placed things in front of us. He's the one that informs us of our own understanding. He's the one that teaches us how to look at things. Because if we were to look at things from the lens of God, what would life look like? What would it be like? Now, this is one that often catches a lot of controversy, because what does it mean to look at things from the eyes of God? People have their own perceptions of how God looks at things, of how God looks at us. But last time I checked, God is the highest good that there is in this life. And the highest good that there is in this life is an unconditional love that represents the essence of who the Lord is, represented by the cross and the death, resurrection of Christ Jesus. So perception through the lens of this pure and perfect love means that everything works together for those that love God. So this perspective, this perception, the way that you look at the situation and you understand yourself to be someone that loves God, you know that all things will work together for you. That sounds like a pretty good life. But what happens? Oftentimes we find ourselves infected with the ideals of society, and we look around and see nothing but anger and just straight up angst, depressive activities, things that just don't look good, which then informs the decisions of other people. Instead of seeing a cup half full, we see a cup half empty. And then from there, what do we have? We have people that see themselves as lacking instead of being in abundance. And because they lack that eyesight of the Almighty, they think that they don't have it, so they want to go take from somebody else. And that daisy chains to other people. Because if somebody takes from you and you think you already don't have enough, guess what? You're going to be mad. But if you knew how abundant you were, you wouldn't even be worried about what somebody took from you. Maybe that never even would have happened in the first place. But such is the nature of life. We live in an imperfect world where we consistently have to grapple with the ideals that the world has versus the ideals that God has. But we have to also allow our minds to be renewed and to not be conformed to the patterns of this world. So who are we to be? And how do we look at things, knowing us to be as children of God? I'll give you an example. I'm doing a lot of reaching today because not in that sense, but right here, stack of work. All this graded is going to be graded. All this right here, more stacks of paper to be graded, right? A lot of stuff, right? Now, I could look at it in one or two ways. I could be like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so annoying. I don't wanna do it. Right? And that mentality tends towards procrastinative activities. And that is gonna be a piece of work, right? Or I could look at it like, this is really an opportunity to get to see my kids grow, which I want to see them grow. And now it makes me be a little bit more, what's the proper word? Eager to see what's going on. It makes me a little bit more likely to enjoy the process. Maybe I get to see how I grade and see how I am. Maybe I get to find ways to improve my workflow. Or better yet, I could finish it as soon as possible so that I could play Sparking Zero. Add me, server Umo. You get what I'm saying? But the perspective shift, it's like this mind, it's like we're constantly in a game of 4D Tetris or Rubik's Cube. We're trying to put things in places where they fit so that we can find the most optimal way to get things done and to not dread our every motion and action. Now, let's be real. Some things are just going to suck. But is that always the case? Maybe that's an issue on the way that I see things too. Because I could look at working out, and I keep saying working out because I've not been working out as much as I need to. Because there's automatically some dread that comes along with it. I'm thinking about the pain that comes along with being in the gym, sometimes just being straight up exhausted, trying to catch your breath. You're like, you're doing all types of maneuvers, trying to get yourself to move from point A to point B. You gotta come up with the workout plan. You gotta do the nutrition. You gotta do all this stuff, right? But get this. In the process of learning how to do all of these things, you then become more disciplined. And that discipline that you gained from being all active and figuring out how to do what's best for your body now translates to the way that you do other things in your day-to-day activities. And now you become more able. You garnered more power. You feel more physically capable to do the things in front of you. You have more energy. You're more alive. You're more robust. You can do a whole bunch of things. But it comes from seeing the shift in perspective. You have to see things. Both are there. It's not that one is more valid than the other. It's that they're both there, but what are you looking at? Whatever you focus on grows. I'm not gonna lie to you. I started doing Muay Thai. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes I be looking at them like, yo, they punching pretty hard. I'm not trying to get hit right now, real talk. But guess what? I could either say to myself, shut up, suck it up, be a man, and then just go ahead and do it, which in one way, that is a perspective. The other perspective is that this is another opportunity for me to grow, right? There's another opportunity for me to really push my limits and to do something that I've never done before, and that it could be fun. When I think about this perspective shift, I often think of Goku. And I'm not saying it just because I'm playing Sparking Zero. Don't get me wrong. But it's really from the standpoint of, this is a, granted, fictional character, but this is a character that often sees things in front of him in the most positive light that he possibly could. You're talking about a man that has offered mercy to a dude that has committed mass genocide against his own people. And the only reason he murked him was because he tried to attack him after he just gave him mercy. At that point, he was 100% justified in crashing out. But you see, this is his perspective. He looks for the absolute good in every single thing that comes his way. He sees the possibility. And he understands that things are possible so long as so long as he offers the space for it. That right there is a gift, to be able to see that there is more than meets the eye than what is actively in front of us. Perhaps we could do the same thing with our own lives. You know, today, one of the main things that I did today, which I wasn't even really going to share about, but it really is coming up because it's something that makes me take a deep breath, as you just saw. My walk with Christ. I look at myself and I wonder, why aren't you being as full force in your walk? And oftentimes I think about, it's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to have to pray every day. I'm going to have to read my Bible. I'm going to have to really just commit every single thing. And to some extent, we are all working on committing more and more of our lives to Christ. If you follow being a follower of Christ. The difficulty here is that I'm approaching it from a standpoint of these things will not be enjoyable. I'm approaching from the standpoint of this is going to be a lot of work. But then I think to myself, getting this phone was a lot of work. I had to go and find it on back market. I had to go get the money for it. I had to go pay it off. This thing was over $1,000. I had to go get insurance on it. The phone fell into a ditch at some point 6 months after me buying the phone. I had to go through a process of getting a new phone and retrieving this phone out of a ditch because it was in a ditch for like 3 weeks. Shout out 311. Not really, because y'all are trash. But it shouldn't have taken 3 weeks. It should have taken 2 days. But that's neither here nor there, right? And I got the phone back. I went through the process of cleaning up everything, redownloading all my stuff, reorganizing my entire home screen, all that stuff, right? That was a lot of work. But guess what? Now I have a phone that I can use to record and put stuff on YouTube so that you can see what's happening. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of work getting this PS5. It was a lot of work dragging this table up into my room upon which I am now recording this video. It was a lot of work setting up these monitors in the way that I have it set up so that I can do my work. It was a lot of work getting this chair up into my room. It was a lot of work getting myself to a place where I'm happy with where I am currently in my life. It was a lot of work getting a job. It was a lot of work doing a whole lot of things. It's a lot of work to do a lot of things that don't carry the benefit of being in alignment with Christ, with being in alignment with God. But yet, understand, there's a perspective that's happening right there. There is something that is educating the way that we look at things. It's beyond just what public perception says. What are you saying? What is your internal voice saying? Because sometimes there's something that has happened in your life that has caused you to look at things the way that you look at it. And it doesn't do justice to the truth of what it actually is. Because for a very long time, I did not think that I had the ability to speak in the capacity by which I am speaking at this point in time. Yet, I'm able to articulate myself in a way in which you are able to understand and also relate to my experiences because I have lived the life that I have lived and also because I have the gifts that I have. Or else I wouldn't be in front of a classroom being able to speak to over 20 kids each time. I have the ability. But my perspective, which was educated by a bad experience, caused me to believe that I wasn't capable, though I was more than able. How much does that happen in our day-to-day activities when it comes to our walk with God? Where God does something for somebody else, and then we look at what's happened in our own lives, and then we think that he's not going to do it for us because of something we did. Whether we have not understood that the love of God is unconditional. And the word unconditional means that it doesn't matter what you do. That it simply is. And it doesn't require you to have to do anything. But yet we're so quick to accept us or accept other people from the benefits of what it means to be in alignment with the Lord, which then cuts down our ability to actually have faith and walk in accordance to that faith, because we're looking at all the ways that people are saying things instead of actually assessing what things are outside of people's perceptions. Perception is a very, very important thing because it often orders the way that we look at things. There are people today that don't believe in anything, that are completely atheistic because of the way religion has been portrayed to them. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of modern day religion is very interesting. Just why I don't subscribe to religion. I subscribe to the one and only Christ. Because he is the only one that has ever objectively done all the things that he's done in love. If there was anyone in this world that would point towards love, it would be him. But public perception will change the way that you view these things if you do not look at it yourself with sober eyes. I say all this to say, my brother, my sister, my king, my queen, that there's much more to this life. And oftentimes, the things that are happening are predetermined to be positive or negative, nuanced by the way that we speak or approach these things. To me, before, posting 8 videos for 8 days straight on YouTube seemed like an impossible task. But now that I'm doing it, I see that it's, number one, not up to me specifically, but it's up to the Lord who gives me the messages to then speak onto you. And then it's not up to me that you receive it, because you have to do your own work for you to then be able to hear what I'm saying, because I know that I'm explaining it in a way that you are able to understand. I know that I'm focusing on myself and the way that I look at things, and that the work that I end up doing ultimately will be worth it, because I know that the message that I speak is true. So how about you? Where in your life do you see that there is a perspective that could be shifted? What are you looking at begrudgingly that you could look at it another way and say, maybe it's not that bad? Maybe having a conversation with that person won't be as bad. Maybe forgiving that brother or that sister won't be as bad. Maybe going back to school won't be as bad. There's a lot of things that won't be as bad as you think it will be. But before you make these choices, I want you to know that your company also matters. Take a solid audit of the people around you and objectively ask and measure them. Are they the type of people that will uplift you, or will they constantly look for a way to bring you down? And they may or may not be doing it intentionally. But what is the color of their lens? What is their perspective? This has been Master the Moment. help me help you master the moment by subscribing and like this video. Till next time, God bless you. Peace.